tires, so it was an extraordinarily long 37.2-second pit stop, but it was under caution, so he still is out front in this race.
All right, so Emerson Fittipaldi in and out of the pits only 18 laps after his last stop. At 130 laps, that gives the lead to Michael Andretti. We'll be back with more live from Indianapolis.
Watching the other cars now to see if we're going to be having some tire problems as the race gets into the second half now.
All right, as they come back now around the fourth turn, Michael picks up the pace and they stream toward the green flag once again. The pace car into the pits. Michael Andretti sees the green. Emerson Fittipaldi is just 3 seconds back. As Michael streams across the line, you can see Emerson just sitting back there, but he gets forced to the inside alongside a slower car as they come through the first turn. Emerson Fittipaldi in pursuit now of Michael Andretti.
You know, last year, Emerson Fittipaldi's team spent 4 minutes and 30 seconds in the pits compared to Rick Mears' team, which won the race, of course, who spent just 1 minute and 40 seconds. And some people felt that if there was a weakness in the Pat Patrick team at all, it was perhaps in their pit work. Now, of course, that was in comparison to Penske. Penske team is out. Certainly the Patrick team is one of the top teams in the business, in the pits, but we did see a problem there. I just mentioned it.
They've had good pit work so far, Pat, and this last one on changing that tire being a bit slow there was because they didn't know. They had the hard compound on the car. They really didn't think it would blister. So the pit man is the guy that found it.
Emerson Fittipaldi works his way around the course. Now, the difference between the two tires, Bobby, and this situation has developed. What does it mean for Fittipaldi?
Well, early in the racing month, Paul, to begin with, the weather was so cold, they had no problems with the soft compound. As the heat came up, they started having problems. Goodyear brought in a little harder compound tire, and that's what all the fast cars should be on by now. Now, as good as Emo's handling, if he's having problems with that tire, that means that if Michael were able to push him real hard, he could blister his tire. Now, we'll be having Jack Root and Brian Hammond checking on the other cars to see if the right front tire is going to cause the race to change.
All right, Michael Andretti is out in front of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Then Emerson Fittipaldi, just a wink of an eye back. And then 42 seconds behind is Al Unser Jr. Now, the rest of the field down below those positions are all running well off the leader pace. For example, the fourth-place car of Jim Crawford is now 3 laps behind the top 3. The fifth-place car, that's Raul Boesel, is now 5 laps behind the leaders of the race. And the sixth-place car, which belongs to Dominic Dobson, we showed you earlier him moving up through the field, is also 5 laps behind the leader. So the fight is at the front of this field. No one else at the moment is in contest.
Now, Michael is out in clean air, what we call clean air now, no traffic call. Now, he's going to be pushing really, really hard to see if he can keep that gap between him and Emo. Now, Emo's car has been faster. There's Emo right there. He's been generally faster all day. But will he hurt his tire in trying to catch Michael? That's what's going to be interesting to see.
Emerson Fittipaldi chasing and, in fact, closing on Michael.
Every 500-mile race has 1 or 2 key moments where it seems when you look at it a year later, this was when it was won and lost. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we're not looking at one of them right in and around now. What's going to happen in the next few minutes?
Sam, this is going to be their moment for sure to test each other out to see which one of them really has the most speed. They're both set up good. They're well into the race. The track is going from being slippery to being really good right now.
Emerson Fittipaldi chasing Michael Andretti. You can see the distance between the two. 136 laps are complete. Michael Andretti has been turning laps at 217 miles an hour.
And as you watch the cars, don't become hypnotized by just following the cars. Look at the crowd in the background. Watch how much ground they're really covering. This is Tyler Alexander in the pit. He is the crew chief behind the Andretti team, rumored to be leaving that team after this race. This could be his swan song with the Andrettis. If so, he's certainly masterminding a terrific race for the Andretti family right now.
Tyler came here with Team McLaren, scored a couple of victories there as well, and then stepped away from Indy cars for a while, and then came back with a Newman Haas team. So if, in fact, he leaves after this race, we may, in fact, see him again. Let's go down to the pits again. Here's Jack.
Well, we were talking about the PCA teams and the clutch problems that they've had. We checked with Morris Nunn, who's one of the designers or engineers on the Pat Patrick team, and he said, indeed, they have made some adjustments in the rear of the car, specifically with the clutch and also with the ring and pinion. I asked him what they were, and he said, those are Mo Nunn's, my secrets. Now, also, checking on that blister, Bobby Unser, it was a very small blister. It was only about the size of this hole right here. So it was an eagle-eyed crew member that noticed it. Remember, they didn't change tires the last stop, so it's not unusual, especially with the ambient temperature out here as hot as it is. Let's check in further up pit road and Brian Hammonds. Brian?
During Michael Andretti's last pit stop, he changed from the soft compound tire that he'd been playing with all race long by changing the air pressure. He finally went away from that. He didn't like that setup. He went to the hard compound tire. The crew asked him if he wanted any wing changes. He said, don't do it. This car is perfect. So Michael Andretti loves the way his race car is handling right there. Paul?
All right, Brian. On the course, car 15, Jim Crawford, the Buick Power, the man who had such a gorgeous run here last year. The car that was damaged severely, sent to England, brought back to the United States just Wednesday evening, completely reassembled after its bodywork totally repaired. Now comes to the side of the race course. Was running in fourth, but the engine is silent for the moment. Still out in front at the Indianapolis 500 with 139 laps complete is Michael Andretti. And we have an indication that Emerson Fittipaldi, the second place car, is heading for the pits once again. He stopped on lap 112, again on lap 129. This is the 139th lap as both Michael and Emerson Fittipaldi roll in.
It's under yellow. That's why there's been an incident, and both Andretti and Fittipaldi are capitalizing on the yellow flag situation. You see Emerson there in the pits.
His pit down at the south end, just beyond the entrance to Gasoline Alley. And now it's a race in the pits as Emerson Fittipaldi comes out, and right behind him, there is Michael Andretti. So in the pits, there is where the crews can be so critical. Proper placement of the pit position and fast work by the Patrick team, and Emerson Fittipaldi is back in front. Well, Michael Andretti now rides in second place. Just that quickly, positions change at the Indianapolis 500-mile race. We're under yellow once again. No indication for the yellow. Certainly no accident, so it must be debris that was noted by one of the many USAC observers here on the race course. Michael Andretti rides, tries to think what can he do now to get back around Emerson Fittipaldi.
That was a very... Some people might be wondering why Emerson came in so quick. Well, it was a very fast pit stop, but he was just there before. And what the pit crews do is they try to figure out the sequences so they'll be at the proper place at the end of the race. The
grandstand and the blimp up behind is under the yellow flag once again in Indianapolis. We'll be back right after this. The view down on the 2.5 miles of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from the Goodyear Airship America, based out in Houston, Texas. Don McDuff, the captain, on board today, helping give you some of the beautiful coverage shots of the Indianapolis 500 and some action shots as well. Giant crowd here, nearly 500,000 people. Emerson Fittipaldi circulates around, completing the 144th lap under yellow in the lead. We'll be back with more from Indianapolis. Back live at the Indianapolis 500-mile race, still under yellow. Emerson Fittipaldi leads, 145 laps complete. Next Saturday on ABC Sports, the high rollers of the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour will be in Las Vegas, Nevada for the Showboat PBA Doubles Classic. Now, bowlers there will team up for big money. It's the final stop of the spring tour, and the action starts Saturday on ABC Sports. And then it's Wide World of Sports. You'll see a unique combination of gymnastics and figure skating. It's the very first time. Accomplished athletes like Brian Bottano, Bart Connor, Robin Cousins, and more display their skills in the Caress Symphony